Hello students, in my previous video I stopped up to unclear. So let me continue from where I left. We are discussing the same chapter, discovering Tut. So now we will get to know about Tut's family heritage. We'll get to know about Tut's grandfather, father, all those things. Amenhotep III, Tut's father or grandfather, was a powerful pharaoh who ruled for almost 4 decades, that is, for 40 years, at the height of the 18th century's golden age. His son Amenhotep IV succeeded him and initiated one of the strangest periods in the history of ancient Egypt. The new pharaoh promoted the worship of the Aten. I already told you previously that Tut's grandfather was a nice king. Nice king in the sense that he was benevolent. He looked after his masses or subjects very properly. But Tut's father was a tyrant. And during his reign, there was complete chaos and anarchy in Egypt. So let's continue. The new pharaoh promoted the worship of the Aten, the sun disk, changed his name to Akhenaten or servant of the Aten, and moved the religious capital from the old city of Thebes to the new city of Akhetaten, known now as Amarna. He further shocked the country by attacking Amun, a major god, smashing his images and closing his temples. It must have been a horrific time, said Ray Johnson, director of the University of Chicago's Research Center in Luxor, the site of ancient Thebes. The family that had ruled for centuries was coming to an end, and then Akhenaten went a little wacky. Wacky means you can say desperate. Wacky also means whimsical also. Now Akhenaten was actually the father of King Tut. Later, after he was coronated, he restored order and peace within his reign, or within Egypt, we can say. Now, after Akhenaten's death, a mysterious ruler named Menkaure appeared briefly and exited with hardly a trace. And then a very young Tutankhaten took the throne. King Tut, as he is widely known today. The boy king soon changed his name to Tutankhamun, living image of Amun. That is the meaning of the term Tutankhamun, living image of Amun, and oversaw a restoration of the old ways. I already told you that he restored the old order. He brought peace and harmony within his empire, within the entire Egypt. He reigned for about 9 years and then died unexpectedly. He reigned for almost 9 years and then he died under mysterious circumstances, which even in the 21st century is still shrouded in mystery. Regardless of his fame means popularity, and the speculations I already told you about it, that is guesses about his fate. Tut is one mummy among many in Egypt. How many? No one knows. The Egyptian Mummy Project, which began an inventory in late 2003, has recorded almost 600 as so far, and it is still counting. The Egyptian Mummy Project, 600 so far, mummy has been recorded, it is still counting. The next stage or phase, scanning the mummies with a portable CT scan machine donated by the National Geographic Society and Siemens, its manufacturer. King Tut is one of the first mummies to be scanned, in death as in life, moving regally ahead of his countrymen. Regally means in a very royal manner. I already told you many pharaohs are being cremated in the Valley of the Kings, but it is King Tut who gained the maximum amount of spotlight. The night of the scan, I missed one paragraph, let me continue. A CT machine scanned the mummy head to toe, creating 1700 digital X-ray images in cross section. Tut's head, scanned in 0.62 millimeter slices to register its intricate structures, takes an airy detail in the resulting image. With Tut's entire body similarly recorded, a team of specialists in radiology, forensics, and anatomy began to investigate or probe the secrets that the winged goddesses of a gilded burial shrine protected for so long. The night of the scan, workmen carried Tut from the tomb in his box. Like pallbearers, they used to carry the palanquin in the previous days. They climbed a ramp and a flight of stairs into the swirling sand outside. With the help of the crane, the body or the coffin is been uplifted. A hydraulic lift we can see into the trailer that held the scanner. 20 minutes later, two men emerged, sprinted for an office nearby, and returned with a pair of white plastic fans. The $1 million scanner had quit because of sand in a cooler fan. Curse of the Pharaoh, joked a guard nervously. Yes, because this million dollar scanning machine or fan, it's not functioning. So one of the guards jokingly remarked that it might be the curse of the Pharaoh. Eventually or finally we can say the substitute fans worked well enough to finish the procedure. After checking that no data had been lost, the technicians turned Tut over to the workmen who carried him back to his tomb. Less than 3 hours after he was removed from his coffin, the Pharaoh again rested in peace where the funerary priest had laid him so long ago. Back in the trailer, a technician, that means after 3 hours, he was again put to rest in his normal usual place. Back in the trailer, a technician pulled up astonishing images of Tut on a computer screen. A grey head took shape from a scattering of pixels, and the technician spun and tilted it in every direction. Neck vertebrae appeared as clearly as in an anatomy class. Other images revealed a hand, several views of the ribcage, and a transection of the skull. But for now, the pressure was off. Sitting back in his chair, Zai Hawa smiled, visibly relieved that nothing had gone seriously wrong. He is very happy. Every process was being undertaken as well as conducted fruitfully in a very positive manner without any sort of hackle or without any sort of problem. I didn't sleep last night, not for a second, quote unquote. That is what Zai Hawa told. I was so worried, but now I think I will go and sleep. But later he told with a satisfied expression and dialogue that now I can go and I can sleep peacefully. Now, dear students, we are moving on to the last paragraph. By the time we left the trailer machine, descending metal stairs to the sandy ground, the wind has stopped. Remember at the very beginning of the chapter, there was a description that the wind was blowing. Now that wind has stopped blowing. The winter air lay cold and still like death itself. Yes, now the winter air that is very cold and still, that is compared with death itself. In the valley of the departed, that is the valley of the crematory or the valley of the kings. Just above the entrance to Tut's tomb stood Orion, the constellation that the ancient Egyptians knew as the soul of Osiris, the galaxy of stars, that the constellation of the galaxy of stars that the Egyptians knew it to be the soul of Osiris, the god of the afterlife. Yes, and it seems that the god of the afterlife is not only protecting, but every now and then the god of the afterlife, that is Osiris, is watching over the boy pharaoh, that is King Tut. So that ends the chapter, dear students. I explained the whole chapter in 3 videos, one by one. Step by step you listen to all the 3 videos, and after that if you have any problem, do communicate with me. Thank you students. Thank you all.